Hey guys, it's Sasha. Tesla opened the Giga Berlin factory 2 days ago, and there was one big problem. The stock market has completely misunderstood what just happened. I am going to explain exactly what did happen and why I think a lot of analysts are completely missing the point. It goes a lot deeper than just the obvious, so please listen up if you want all the insight. Some of the best bits and more insightful bits come later on. Tesla stock closed trading at around $921 on Monday, the night before the big opening of the Berlin factory, and since that factory opened, the stock went up 10%. It is trading at about $1,010 as I'm recording this video. The fact remains, the average Wall Street analyst is just not as smart or sophisticated as you might think. This event was extremely predictable, known in advance, and I mentioned that this will be a catalyst for Tesla's share price climbing multiple times before, but yet again, the stock market was somehow still surprised. But it's not the opening of the Gigafactory in Berlin that is the big deal. It is what the opening of that Berlin factory means. So let me break it down for you. Just remember that I am a Tesla shareholder, so some might say that my opinion is biased as a result. And also remember that I am not your financial advisor. I am just a random guy on YouTube sharing his opinion and analysis. I might be wrong, and I do not own a crystal ball. What I do own, other than a particular set of skills that make me a nightmare for people like you, is a Lightyear investing account. And Lightyear happen to be the sponsors of today's video. Lightyear is the only free investing app available in the UK where you can go and buy Tesla shares completely 100% for free. If you want to buy a share of Tesla or two, or any other US stocks that you like for that matter, you can go and buy them on Lightyear without having to pay any fees in the process. Unlike trading 212 or free trade or pretty much any other popular investing app out there are no foreign exchange fees for up to £3,000 per month, and no other fees either. Even better than free, Lightyear will also give you a $10 bonus if you sign up using my link in the description and make a deposit of at least £1. So if you want to try the platform out, you live in the UK, you can go and get paid by Lightyear instead of paying fees to some other platform. Not too shabby. Okay, so on Tuesday, Tesla held an event in Berlin to mark the official opening of the factory. The final approval paperwork turned up on Friday, and Elon Musk flew in to throw in some questionable dance moves. 30 customers were invited to take delivery of their Model Y cars and drove them literally out of the factory. But here is what actually happened, because all of that was just for show. Giga Berlin is currently set up with 2 gigapresses, and apparently there are 2 more that are in the process of being installed. In Fremont, 2 gigapresses over there managed to make 58,000 roughly Model Y cars in Q4 last year. So the capacity of 1 gigapress looks to be at least 30 to 35,000 castings per quarter. The Model Y cars being made in Berlin have 2 castings per car. Not 1, they have 2 front and rear. So with 2 gigapresses, the capacity there is for about 30 to 35,000 cars per quarter at the moment, which is about 2,500 cars per week. With another 2 gigapresses coming online apparently relatively soon, that number will double. Now the long-term plan is to have 8 gigapresses within that phase 1 of the completed Berlin factory, which would give 4 times the 30 to 35,000 per quarter target. So roughly that 500,000 cars per year that Tesla has announced that they are planning for Berlin. Now at the moment, the Berlin factory is importing 2170 battery packs from Tesla's Shanghai factory. Reportedly, they are getting up to 5,000 of them a week to enable production. These are the older, smaller cells that are currently being used across all of Tesla's cars, probably the ones being manufactured by LG going into the cars in Berlin being made right now. And this is because the production of 4680 cells, which are the new, bigger, more efficient, cheaper cells, is still in the process of ramping in the US. Giga Texas will start their Model Y production with structural 4680 packs right out of the gate. The ones being made over in California coming into the Texas plant to be used. But at the moment, Tesla is not making enough of those battery packs. They haven't started production of those packs in Berlin. They haven't started production of those in Texas as far as I'm aware. So at some point, the plan is to switch from using 2170 cells to 4680 cells in the Berlin factory later this year. I am guessing this will happen at some point in Q4. But the rumor mill is also saying that Berlin is going to start by only making 500 cars per week. So the limiting factor here is not the batteries and it is not the gigapresses. The most likely limiting factor at the moment is people, experience, and polishing out the various parts of the process. Tesla has so far hired just 3,500 people into Giga Berlin, and the phase 1 of the factory, which is the current building, apparently needs 12,000 people to operate at full capacity. So they only have about a quarter of the people they need to run at full speed. And remember that scaling a huge factory is not linearly dependent on the number of people working there. You have a base requirement for employees, regardless of how fast your production runs and how many roles it is that you have on the actual production line. Many roles also do not scale linearly with production. So a doubling in the number of people in this case should produce a more than doubling effect on the production capacity. Now, I went on the Tesla jobs website and there are currently 338 jobs listed in Giga Berlin, which is in Grünheide, Brandenburg. Yes, I did actually go and count them. And presumably many of these job descriptions are not only looking for one person to fill them, so you can see that they are pretty busy hiring and training people and probably will be for a little while. This means that in my opinion, the ramp up Berlin is likely to be somewhat slower initially, but then ramp up quite fast later this year. Apparently, the target is to hit 1,000 cars per week by the end of April. And that is quite low by Tesla standards, but it is an incredible achievement. Just weeks after opening the factory for the first time, it is already way ahead of what the likes of Rivian or the likes of Lucid have produced in months since they started their production. So the Berlin factory is not going to have much of an impact on production numbers for Tesla in Q1 and Q2. 1 week in Q1 will probably only mean around 500 cars coming from the Berlin plant for the Q1 total. And if they're only going to ramp up to about 1,000 per week by the end of April, we're probably looking at something like 15,000 cars coming from the Berlin plant in Q2, or about 4 to 5% of Tesla's total production right now. However, all the noises at the moment are pointing to the ramp being much quicker than previously expected towards the end of the year. So I'm now estimating Q4 might hit around 30,000 cars. Now, it would be higher, maybe as high as 40 to 50,000 cars, but remember that they have to stop production for about 3 to 4 weeks to switch from using 2170 cells to 4680 cells in that quarter in the Berlin factory, and that's why my total for that quarter at the moment is a bit lower. The permit that was just issued to Berlin also allows them to manufacture up to 50 gigawatt hours of battery packs on the same site. And if you assume that the average battery pack coming out of Giga Berlin will maybe be around, 80 kilowatt hours, that means that they will be able to make around 625,000 cars in Berlin using 4680 cells manufactured on the same site. The plan for Giga Berlin does include space for 3 more phases, although after the German authorities took 6 months longer than expected to issue the permits for the first one, Tesla have officially gone and got pissed off and put those plans on ice. I do feel though that time is a great healer, and once Berlin is firing on all cylinders this year, they don't have cylinders, but you know what I mean. I think enough water will pass under the bridge and we'll see the second phase being built on the site, seeing as they've already got all the infrastructure in place and all the employees and everything else. Now, Giga Berlin will serve the European car market, but the European car market is even bigger than the sum of US and Canada, and it's really important to remember that. The wait times here in the UK and many other European countries are even more crazy than they are in the United States. The demand is absolutely through the roof. Giga Shanghai took 2 years to ramp to a run rate of 750,000 cars a year, and they are now expanding that capacity as well. Given that the Shanghai factory was the first factory that Tesla built, because remember, Fremont was an existing factory that Tesla acquired, I am expecting Berlin to ramp faster, although, as always, it is unknown how much of an impact the German bureaucracy is going to have. So I would be surprised if we're not seeing an annual run rate of somewhere around that 500,000 cars a year mark or more around Q3 next year. But the incredible thing is that Berlin is just the start. It's not even the very important thing, because on the 7th of April, just in a few days, Tesla is hosting a big opening event for Giga Texas in Austin. And Giga Texas is a much bigger deal. It's not only the new HQ for Tesla, this is also Tesla's biggest factory. Berlin is currently the smallest factory, the current blueprint, the current phase 1 building out of all 4 that they have. Giga Texas will start manufacturing cars with 4680 cells straight from the get-go. And Giga Texas has an absolutely enormous plot. It is way, way bigger than the German plot or any of the other ones. It is bigger than all of them put together. You saw what happened when Giga Berlin opened and started delivering cars, so I'll be watching very closely to what the analysts think of Texas. Reminder, if you want to invest in Tesla or any other stocks before or after Giga Texas opens, my link for Lightyear is in the description and the pinned comment. Now, 3 weeks after Texas opens, we'll have Q1 results. I'll be covering those results live on my channel, so if you want all the insight as soon as the data is published, please come along. Q1 production and sales are looking incredibly strong, so it looks like we're set for another record quarter. Now, production numbers in Q4 were absolutely off the charts, and I am not sure if Shanghai is going to match the numbers in Q1. But remember that this quarter Tesla had been shipping a lot more Model S and Model X Plaid cars, and those carry much higher margins, so expect much better numbers on the revenue and gross margin fronts because of that. And Tesla also have increased prices twice in March alone, and they were increasing them in the run-up as well. The price of most cars is up over 20% in the last year, so gross margins should look pretty good. From Q2 onwards, we're going to see Berlin and Austin contributing, and even in the early stages of them ramping, if we're just seeing 15,000 cars made in Q2 in each of those factories, that's already going to be a 10% increase on the Q4 total for Tesla. But then a few days ago, Elon Musk announced that he is working on his master plan part 3. This is something that Elon does every few years, where he outlines the concept for what he wants to achieve with his businesses. It started out with just Tesla, but now he's talking about more than that. His initial plan for Tesla was to prove the concept. The second part of his master plan was to scale production. And here is where it gets seriously interesting for anyone who's a Tesla shareholder, because Elon Musk replied to Dr. Jack on Twitter recently saying, main Tesla subjects will be scaling to extreme size, which is needed to shift humanity away from fossil fuels and AI. Then literally the next day after tweeting that, Elon Musk said at the opening of the Berlin factory that he is planning for Tesla to grow at above 80% and perhaps even pushing for doubling year on year. So that is pretty incredible. It really begins to piece things together, because then you go and think and you remember that Tesla have recently announced that they are planning to significantly expand their capacity in Fremont. Oh, and Tesla Shanghai is currently in the process of being expanded. They are due to finish at the end of April, bringing the maximum capacity of that factory to something like 1 to 1.2 million cars per year. Oh, and also there has been a huge amount of noise about Tesla building that second Shanghai factory next to the current one. Tesla haven't yet confirmed or denied those rumors. Maybe they're waiting for the Q1 results to announce it, so that then the Shanghai news doesn't dampen or somehow cast a shadow on the Giga Berlin and Giga Texas openings. And then remember that also in November, I think it was, that Elon said at the shareholder meeting that Tesla will be announcing multiple new factory sites later this year. So if you feel that Tesla stock is overvalued today at $1 billion, remember that the valuation is a PE of 113 based on the run rate from Q4 and a multiple of 64 on the annualized version of the EBITDA. Before we even talk about things like FSD, energy, or any other parts of future Tesla business, what do you think is going to happen when Tesla's production is running at 4 times what it was last year in perhaps less than 3 years' time? With higher margins because of more local factories, 4680 cells, and economies of scale on top. With the Berlin factory opening, that was just the first stepping stone in Elon Musk's new plan that is literally planning to scale to extreme size. His words, not mine. If you want to see a complete breakdown of my valuation model, the latest one for Tesla that has a $3,300 price target, I go through every detail in this video right here. So please go and check it out if you want to find out. If you found this video useful, please don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you guys later.